Hey everybody, it's Friday morning and I'm doing a water change here on my 125. This is not going to be a before and after video or anything like that. I just wanted to point something out while I was thinking about it. Not too long ago, for my regular viewers, you'll remember I was talking about something not quite being right in this tank. It had an off sort of smell to it. It didn't smell like a dead fish necessarily, but something just didn't smell right about it. And I've been having these weird algal explosions. I'm getting all this crazy green hair algae that I never had in here before. But the smell was what was really throwing me off, because the tank clearly did not smell normal at all. And I don't really know how to explain how it smelled. It didn't smell, again, it didn't smell like a dead fish, but just it smelled different. It smelled off. And I think I finally figured out what the smell was. The other day when I was in here doing a water change on this tank, you'll notice that I've got these fairly dense mat of vegetation back here. That's a combination of floating water sprite and duckweed, and it really does grow into almost a dense mat. And what happened was I've been feeding my Ctenopoma that I've got in this tank freeze-dried krill literally for years. That's been his staple food. And I always just put a small handful of them up here in the corner where they float, and then he comes out and gets them whenever he wants. And apparently lately he's just decided he doesn't like the krill anymore. He doesn't eat it. I have no idea. I've been feeding him floating cichlid pellets, and he goes after those now, but he just ignores the krill. And what happened was a couple days worth of that floating krill had made its way in. Here you can actually see that. It's that floating cichlid pellet right there. It's starting to get all kind of fuzzy and gross. Well, imagine a small handful of krill doing that, and then another small handful of krill doing that, because he wasn't eating them, and they were just sort of floating over the course of the night. I always feed the tank towards the latter part of the day. An hour later I come in here and turn the lights out, and then that krill was sort of getting stuck up in that mat of vegetation. And twice now I've pulled out this like nasty mass of pinkish, orangey, gross, smelly stuff, and the only thing I can assume is that it is just a bunch of shrimp that just are still floating in there and not being eaten. And that's where I think my weird smell was coming from, and it's probably also where I got that little minor ammonia spike. Now, what accounted for the loss of my rainbow fish? I don't know. I lost one of my females. You can see those sort of yellowy orange fish. I lost one of them. And I lost two of my bright orange male albino millennium rainbow fish recently, and I don't know why. I don't know what happened to them that caused them to die. I don't believe it was an ammonia spike from the shrimp that I'm talking about. For one, the ammonia levels were really, really low. It was not much of an ammonia spike at all. It was like 0.25%. I barely registered a color change on the ammonia test. And the water in this tank, when I checked it at the time, was 6.9 pH, which means that the ammonia had been converted into ammonium and was therefore harmless, and I just didn't really have anything to worry about. Yet I lost 3 fish out of this tank, and I don't really know why. Again, not necessarily related to each other. This isn't necessarily a cause and effect situation, but that's just what happened, and it's just got me scratching my head about what's going on with this tank. So I am going to be actually talking about this tank a little bit later. I'm going to be sitting in front of it shooting a video. We're going to be talking about my loaches right there that you just saw zip on by. And I'm just trying to get the tank a little bit cleaned up so that it's a little more presentable when I sit in front of it. So make sure you subscribe. You won't miss that or anything else I got coming up. This one was just a quick explanation of where I was getting that weird funky smell from. And it was literally just coming from some shrimp that hadn't been eaten and was stuck in this mat of vegetation here. So I'm going to take care of that, and I'm probably going to thin this out too. So don't forget, I got extra plants for sale now. I got Water Sprite, Java Fern, Java Windelove, and of course you're always probably going to get some free duckweed thrown in with whatever you get from me, because that stuff gets everywhere. I do my best, but duckweed usually gets caught up in there somewhere. So if you buy plants from me, you can probably expect to get at least a little bit of duckweed in there with it. Anyway, check my email down below if you're interested in any plants. Thanks for watching this one. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you real soon on the next one.